Hey, I'm coming to you this Friday afternoon, May 1st, from my backyard, where I've been spending a lot of time in the last 6 weeks, enough time, in fact, to help build this fence that you see behind me. If you want to know how long it takes to fence your backyard, it is 12 years and one pandemic. That's how long it takes. But I check my emails daily and I check social media, and I came on this article that was interesting and gave perspective from an anonymous author. They wrote this: I heard that we're all in the same boat, but it's not like that. We are in the same storm, but we are not in the same boat. Your boat may be shipwrecked and mine may be okay, or vice versa. For some, quarantine is optimal, a moment of reflection, of reconnection, easy with flip-flops, with a cocktail or coffee. For others, this is a desperate financial and family crisis. For some that live alone, they're facing endless loneliness, while for others it's a time of peace and rest, a time with their parents or with their kids, their family. With the $600 increase in unemployment, some are bringing in more money now than they were when they were working, and some are making much less, working more hours due to pay cuts or loss of sales. Some families of four just received a $3,400 stimulus check, while other families of four didn't get anything. Some were concerned about getting a certain candy for Easter, while others were concerned whether or not they were going to have milk and eggs and bread enough to last for the weekend. Some want to go back to work because they don't qualify for unemployment and are running out of money, and others want to kill those who break the quarantine. Some are spending 2 to 3 hours a day teaching their children online at home. Others are spending 2 to 3 hours a day teaching their children online at home on top of a 10 to 12 hour workday. Some have experienced near death from this virus. Some have already lost someone to the virus. Some don't know whether their loved ones are going to live. And there are others who don't think this is a big deal at all. Some have faith in God and expect big things in 2020. Others think the worst is yet to come. So, friends, we're not in the same boat. We're going through a time when our perceptions and needs are completely different. Each of us will emerge in our own way from this storm. It's very important to see beyond what is seen at first glance, not just looking, actually seeing. We are all on different ships during this storm, experiencing a very different journey. So think before you lash out and make judgments. Please be kind. We are all struggling in some way. I don't know how long we're going to be in this challenging time, but as I listen to Governor Inslee's press conference this afternoon, it still looks like it's going to be a while. I would guess the middle of June before we're meeting back as a church, if then, and we'll keep you up to speed on when that's going to happen as our leadership team meets and talks about it. We know some things are getting back underway. But I've been thinking a lot about how we process life in the midst of this, specifically how I process it and also how I help you process it. And I'd like to challenge you to think a little bit about what God is trying to get at in you through this time. How are you weathering this challenging time, and what is God trying to get in you during this? It's important to let ourselves be honest about the things that we're struggling with and we're missing. This past week, we heard from 3 of our staff members who have had really important trips in their lives canceled, important family milestone trips, or places that are really important to them they were going to visit, or time that they were going to spend with loved ones. And that's really difficult. We have a son who's graduating from college in a week and a half, and we're not going to get to have the big party and celebrate the big milestone the way that we would want to. We've had a grandson during this time, and it's been a very different experience from when our granddaughter was born, and so it's been interesting. I have a wedding tomorrow that's going to look very, very different from the wedding that this couple has had planned for a year, and many people who got invitations won't be there. My nephew's getting married in a few weeks, and looks like we won't be able to go to that either. So there are things that we're really missing during this time, and we need to be honest about those things. And through it all, we need to keep asking ourselves the questions that what's going on in us as this thing goes on around us, perhaps with our anxieties or our pressure or stress from either having a life that's really ramped up, or pressure and stress from fear for loss of income, for loss of connections with other people. How is this impacting us? This is going to pass at some point, and what it's going to look like on the other side of it, none of us really know at this point. But God is with us in the midst of it. And as the things that have kept us busy and moving in life are stripped away, it's good to pay attention to how it impacts us emotionally and physically, mentally, and spiritually. Is this shaking our faith? Are we learning perhaps that our identity is a little too wrapped up in unhealthy relationships? Is it possible that we're learning our identity is a little too wrapped up in what we do? Can we see God as the faithful provider through this? None of this has caught him off guard. I look forward to getting back to things, back to life from this, as I'm sure you do. But until then, I want to continue to learn and to grow and to see what's going on in me in the midst of it. And so I was thinking about Psalm 139 this week and just thinking about meditating on that a little bit. I'm going to encourage you to do that. Psalm 139 begins this way: "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways." God knows what's going on. He knows where you are, and he's not surprised by any of this. If you go down to the bottom of 139, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any anxious ways in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." I want to take some time and invite you to take some time over the next few days to just meditate on Psalm 139, maybe sitting down with the Bible and a journal, a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and consider some of these thoughts. Maybe begin some time with God alone by just expressing this: God, I give you permission and invitation to search me, and I want to ask you to show me myself. Now, this can be a little bit scary because we don't always want to know ourselves, and we don't often know ourselves. But we want to give God permission to search us out and help us to see ourselves. And then to ask some questions. Show me what is at the bottom of the pressure I feel. Show me what's at the bottom of the anxiety that's in me. Show me whether I've been trusting myself instead of you. Show me if there are ways in which my identity has been wrapped up in unhealthy relationships. Show me if there are ways in which my identity is wrapped up more in doing than in being. Can you show me yourself in this loneliness? And then just wait and rest and listen for what God has to say. And then, God, as you show me myself, will you lead me forward, not in condemnation, but in confidence that you're going to keep doing the work that you promised that you would do in me in the midst of this time. I want to encourage you not to let this time be wasted, but to continue to seek to know what God has for you. And as you do that, I pray that the Lord will bless you and keep you, that the Lord will make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you, and that the Lord will lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.